High School DxD Volume 2, I would say, was very close to what the anime is. Looking at both of them, they were very similar, but there were some differences, and I would say the most differences were basically little things were changed around, little bits and pieces of context were shifted around. It was very minor. I feel like the anime was quite loyal to the actual source material, which is good, but as I said before, there were little things, little tiny little things. Particularly, I would say, when it comes to them training, the meeting with Riza and Rias. Riza really is quite much more, I would say, douchier in the actual light novels, and I think that's something that was in Volume 1 as well. There were definitely some moments where certain characters came off a little bit more douchier. And the other thing, though, too, with Volume 2 is, as much as Riot was just a little bit more douchier, there was also a lot more context to the politics going on, the reasonings, the motives, the drive. While Riza comes off a little bit more douchier in how he treats people, he comes off a little bit more sympathetic in why he's going down a certain direction, because he's looking at the benefits of the families, of the demons. He's very much prim and proper. He looks down on the lesser beings. He is very douchey in how he treats people, but he is trying to do things for a certain reason. It kind of fleshes out the motive and the politics a little bit better. I don't think the anime is in any way inferior because of that. I just feel like the light novel does a better job of it just explaining why things are in a certain situation and why things are playing out the way they are. And of course, there are certain characters that are in the light novel that kind of weren't really in the actual anime itself, particularly, of course, the father of Rias. It's mentioned, it's kind of shown a little bit, but nowhere near to the same point as in the light novel. It really kind of adds a little bit more context to things. As I said before, it's very similar, but just minor little things are shifted, changed, and a little bit of extra context really helped add a bit more flavor to the world itself and the politics going on within the demon society. But putting that aside, I really do love this volume. I love Issei's first major step in growth, him becoming much more independent, him trying to show that he can grow from a power standpoint, as much as he definitely has his pervy side and his new powers of dress break definitely show a less than savory part, and everyone kind of is very blown away just by how perverted he can be. But it still shows that he is trying to do everything and anything in his power to make Rias happy, to give her her own independence and freedom, but at the same time, he is still very much hindered by the reality that he is many steps behind players like Riza. As much as he ends up winning in the end, of course, for anime fans, this is pretty obvious if you haven't watched the anime, but he ends up winning. I'd say a little bit of it came down to the fact that, yes, that training did really push him a little bit further, him preparing a lot more, especially with holy water and all that kind of stuff, and then him making the sacrifices. The sacrifice was the biggest thing that I think definitely gave him the edge, with the armor suit, him being able to use the cross, and then the holy water. So it's a little bit of preparation, a little bit of training, but mostly the sacrifices he had to make. It allowed him to push to the point where he was able to defeat Riza. And it really just shows just his dedication and his love and devotion towards Rias, even though Argia definitely gets a little bit fruity-faced when they get a little bit close. I gotta say, I absolutely love High School DxD. I love the direction that the actual light novel goes. I love the little bit of extra context. I love the development that goes into it. I do feel like it's very much focused on sort of the key components of the training, the politics, and then the actual raiding games itself, and then, of course, the final fight between Issei and Riza. And I feel like that's the major highlight. And then, of course, Rias actually giving the kiss to Issei, kind of seen as her thank you to Issei for putting his own life on the line. Because I don't think he would have walked out of that alive if he lost to Riza. I think that would have been the end of Issei. Even though the one thing that I did notice in the actual light novel is Riza kind of commends him a lot more and says, hey, you actually did quite well for someone of your stature and your build and your many steps behind in training and experience. And that's the kind of thing that really kind of throws it a bit difficult to explain. In some sections, Riza is far more douchier, and in other sections, Riza is a lot more sympathetic and a lot more kinder. That's what makes it really hard to kind of explain when it comes to the differences between Volume 2 and the anime. To me, at least, it just felt like he had his highs and he had his lows. He kind of comes off a little bit worse and a little bit better. But hey, I felt that added a little bit more flavor to him. It showed that he has a very competitive nature, but he can be a little bit too smug, and he definitely puts himself on a pedestal, much like his sister as well. And I think with their defeat, it really brings them down a peg or two and really shows reality that they aren't the big hot shots that they think they are. And with the Phoenix Tears and everything, that really gives them a really powerful advantage. The fact that they have those Phoenix Tears, yeah, it basically is the make or break, especially when you look at Akano versus the Queen of Riza. That's basically what decides the battle. I mean, without them, I feel they would have lost that battle, but with it basically gives them the tipping point, and the fact that Riza has infinite healing just basically makes him invincible from a sort of 1-to-1 scale of fighting versus fighting. But with Issei using the holy water to his advantage, that's what gives him the tipping point. Without it, he would have lost. That's just straight up, he would have lost without the holy water. And the fact that he's able to boost the holy water just gives that extra oomph to push it. Because I think if it wasn't boosted, it would have hurt, it would have really annoyed Riza, but it wouldn't have been enough to win the battle. With the boost into the holy water, that's what gave it to him. And that's where it really shows that, again, as I said before, a bit of training, a bit of sacrifice, but the preparation does go a long way. And Issei using the knowledge and the training really helps give him a better understanding of how to combat certain opponents. And without spoiling, because of course, for those that have read it, much like myself, because I'm trying to really stay just to Volume 2, it really shows that is something that Issei is going to be using further on, is more preparation and more training, because he doesn't have the experience currently. This is one major step when it comes to experience, but I think he definitely still needs a lot more training. And that's really what stands out the most to me. Though seeing a rating game and how it plays out is kind of really cool, and I always enjoy seeing the rating games, I really want to see more rating games. As much as there are some in the further on volumes, I just wish there was even more again, because I love the rating games and the strategy that goes into it. I'm a big fan of chess. I would say I love playing chess. I just never really have the opportunity to play much of chess because most of my friends aren't as good, but that's what I love about High School DxD. It's got that fun etchiness, it's got that politics, that character building, and it's got the chess component in it. But I just kind of wish there was a lot more rating games in it. And seeing this one big rating game, it's just fun. I really do enjoy it. But overall, I'd love to know your thoughts in the comment section down below. What did you think of Volume 2? What are your thoughts about the overall development that Issei has gone through? And if you have read the light novels, the differences between the light novel and the anime, did you notice any differences that maybe I had missed or hadn't really elaborated on? Again, I try to make this a sort of broad spectrum and not drag this video out to 20 minutes long. And also, I'd love to know your thoughts on how hyped are you for the official announcement of the light novels coming out. I just want to remind people that, again, High School DxD, the light novels, are going to be getting an official English release. I'm going to continue to be reading the Japanese light novels because I've already started, I might as well stick to it. And because of the fact that we're going to be probably waiting every 4 months for a new volume to come out, I don't have the patience to wait 4 months for a new volume to come out in English, so I'll just keep reading in Japanese. But I will be going back and doing topic videos on each of the volumes as they come out, and of course I'll be buying the physicals. I don't know if they're going to have a physical and a digital. I'll definitely do an update video when we find out whether it's going to be just physical or just digital or both. I hope it's both because I want to get a physical, and for those that want a digital, then they have that option available. But it's probably going to be a while until we actually get an official release of the physicals and, of course, the digitals in English, because they're obviously going to have to translate them. One thing that I really want them to do, though, is actually release multiple volumes, like how they did with another particular light novel series that just got announced as well. They released 3 volumes all at once to kind of give a good push head start into the light novel series. I hope they do that with High School DxD. I don't think they will, but I think it'd be really nice, because if they did 3 to 4 volumes all in one release, I'll buy them all in one go. But it allows us to at least get a year head start in, because we've got at least 10 years of source material just from the baseline, which is volumes 1 through 25 of DxD. And then you've got the side stories, which is an additional 5 volumes, and then you've got Shin as well, which is a continuation from these 25 volumes, which is an additional 3, with a new volume coming out somewhat soon. And for a bit of news there, it is apparently going to be quite a meaty size. I don't know exact page numbers, but apparently on the writer's Twitter, he has mentioned that it is actually going to be kind of thick. So I'm really interested to see where that goes. But it's going to be interesting to see their release date schedule. I assume it's going to be every 4 months, which is like every other light novel ever. So it's easy to just predict that it's going to be 4 months because that's what every light novel does. It's how it boosts their sales. I know some people try and say, oh, it might be every 3 months. That's not how they do it, sadly. But it would be nice if they did what other places have done, where they do 3 to 4 volumes released in one go to get us a good head start in, and at least get us a decent portion through the anime so we can get to new source material, say like season 5 material, if that ever happens and gets announced. But still, nonetheless, I'd love to know your thoughts in the comment section down below. What did you think of Volume 2? What do you think of these components of the actual anime? It covers episodes 8 through 12. So again, love to know your thoughts. But if you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe for more anime content, and I will see you, beautiful nerds, in the next video.